Hello everybody and welcome to the Common Skate stream. My name is Brian. Everything's better with Pillar Man theme. That was it's called Awaken My Pop Stars. It's a mashup of the Pillar Man theme with something I'm not familiar with. It's a pop song that was used in relation to League of Legends or something, involving some of the female League of Legends characters. I actually think it might just be called Pop Stars. I'm not really sure. But it's some LOL bullshit. But it did make for a good Pillar Man remix. And if I find a Pillar Man remix, I'm going to fucking play it. Because that's the manliest shit ever. So, alright, anyway. Speaking of manly, I'm going to work on this womanly piece. I'm going to finish it today. I just wanted to make sure that I gave Exploding Prinny like as much of the I guess as finished a product as I could for the money he gave me. So, but this is the last day I'm working on this, and then I'm gonna be working exclusively on Englewood and on Dave Cullen's things, because he paid for those, or he's going to be paying for those, before I do another request stream. So, all right. So where we left our heroes last time, I was drawing background stuff for the image, and that was basically where I was gonna leave it. So this is me sketching out the background, and now I'm gonna like lower the opacity there, add a layer. If I get this done quickly enough, then I'll just go ahead and continue working on the Dave Cullen things. I am also currently making some coffee, so obviously I'm gonna need to like walk out in a bit Well, just go get a cup once it's ready. So I had to go see the doctor today. I have a lot of frequent visits to the doctor. God, I don't know if it's because I'm just getting old or I'm just really unlucky when it comes to getting sick, I think. And it looks like my Medicare has been canceled. So I gotta find a new way to pay for my meds. How the fuck about that?
Remember what they say, all work and no play?
All sunshine makes a desert, so the Arabs say.
We've been in some scrapes before, and we're gonna get out of this one.
No need to fear. You're in safety. No need to fear.
I hope that this video doesn't get copyright claim, but knowing my luck, it probably will. Yeah, if you guys could leave me a like, that'd be great. I hope that I have some ideas on maybe, I don't know. I need to make this channel bigger, and I'm not really sure. I know that not everyone likes to watch art streams, but there are some that you know, they really do well with art streams, but they're better artists than me, so that's probably a lot to do with it. And they're well known, or they were doing it a long time and they kind of slowly built their audience, which is also possible, and I'm not gonna count that out. Or they make tutorial videos that suck people in. I was thinking about doing that. I don't know. It seems like it's like throwing your lot in with so many other people, though. But I have learned a lot. Digitally, not so much. It's like I just find a tool that I like and I stick with it. And that's probably not the best way. I don't know. I share it in the on the server of an artist I know. You shared this link? Thanks for hitting the like button. This music, though. Okay. So anyone, what's the deal with Game of Thrones? Everyone's talking about it. I see a lot of butt hurt. Does anyone know anything about it? Also, are there any games or movies or anything like cool going on that's creating some hype lately? I want to get excited about stuff again. Game of Thrones is big gay. Yeah, I watched the first season and I was done. And it was actually really hard for me to get through. I could not understand why people liked it. Could not. And that included my friends who were like, you need to watch this show. And they were people who read the books, you know? And they were like, man, the books are really good, so this show is going to be awesome. And I'm like, okay. And then I watched like the first season and I was like, okay, so this show is all about, you know, what is it that I'm trying to get at? This show seemed to me that it was all about going against expectations. So I don't want to say undermining expectations, but more like, you know, pulling the rug out from under people. Like, oh, did you see that coming? You know, the nicest guy on the show, the noblest man on the show, is dead. He was killed. You know, the guy you're supposed to root for the most, he's dead. There are. It's almost like this weird nihilistic thing. Like, there are no good people. No good deed goes unpunished. You know, this kind of idea. And I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm not trying. I don't watch movies and TV shows so that people can tell me how you know, bad reality is. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I have enough of that in reality. I don't really need it on my entertainment. It's not really what I'm looking for, you know? But to each his own. If that's what you're into, it's fine. I don't want people that, you know, that are fans to, I guess, like, you know, take it like I don't want them to enjoy what they enjoy. I don't care. It's just not for me. The last 2 episodes have been the doo-doo, apparently. Yes, they have, apparently. I think it's because they didn't pan out the way audiences wanted them to. You know, like the big battle they've been building up to all this time was shot dark as fuck. And there are still people that were like, well, realistically, it would. It's like, fuck realism. This is a fucking show. People should be able to see what the fuck is going on. And because things didn't happen the way they wanted them to happen, they're mad about that too. But it's like, yeah, but that's the show's premise. That was what it was, setting that precedent when it started. This is the show where, you know, it's a fantasy politics thing. And nothing is as it appears to be, or nothing happens the way you think it will, because it's all about, you know, I guess you could say subverting expectations. It's all about that. So if that's the central premise that it's built on, then why would you be surprised when it actually does that in a way that you don't like? The biggest thing that people are butthurt over right now is that Daenerys, the Queen of Dragons, has become a genocidal tyrant, I guess. They call her Dragon Hitler. She just started killing everyone, and it's like, well, what did you expect to have happen? Oh, she turned to the villain, I guess, is what people don't like. Well, what do you, like, why do you surprise that they, again, you know, subverted your expectations? And this is funny because you know, I think this is feminist related, because feminists they worshipped Daenerys. Like, they treated her like a fucking goddess. Like, they loved her, okay? Loved her. And now they don't love her anymore. They don't like her. You know, because she's, I don't know, she's got the bad. Or because it's obvious that she is bad. Maybe that's the problem. I found the women in this to be insufferable in that series. Don't get me wrong, almost all the characters are insufferable, but the women especially. Good guys finish last or lose their head, yeah. The books were good, but I couldn't even make it through 2 seasons. Wow, did it diverge that much? I heard it didn't start doing that until like season 5 or 6 or something. But I didn't get that far, so I watched season 1 and I was like done. It was hard to get through. That's the difference between us and progressives. We don't try to destroy what's not to our liking. We just tune it out. They do. And I don't care about Game of Thrones. Not my thing. Deadly Do Right. This last season went past the books and they lost the plot because they stopped listening to the original author. George R.R. Martin has even stopped promoting the show now. Yeah, I don't know that George R.R. Martin would have done like the... I know it's his story, but I don't know that it's necessarily a great story anyway. I understand that George R.R. Martin is, you know, an SJW, and so he's still gonna do his... SJW is gonna SJW is what I'm saying. So... And you know what? It's fine. That's their choice. They can tell whatever stories they want. I don't care. But at the end of the day, I know that means that their stories are going to be a certain way, and they're going to have certain talking points, and they're not going to be able to get away from them. And that's just the nature of the beast. But I don't know. I don't know about Game of Thrones, man. I don't care that much, but it's just interesting because everyone's talking about it. What I see, is this the same layer? Did I put all this on the same layer? Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's put a moon up there. It's outside. Okay. So I got to do some other stuff here. I gotta erase some lines. Okay, I don't need that anymore, so we'll just get rid of it. This is the layer I need to work in. They're Golden Girl. She's hot though. Oh, absolutely. What's her name again? I always forget. Wasn't she in Solo? Or Solo? Wasn't she in that? Okay, just making sure that I didn't forget anything. Okay, looks good. Emilia Clarke, thank you. Yeah, she's all right. No, you know what though? Emilia Clarke she's very charismatic. Like really, she is. She's really, really charismatic. I think that I've seen it, you know, she laughs easy, she makes people feel comfortable. She's not a bitch. I'm fairly certain she's not a bitch. Wait, what? Oh, right. Let's deselect that. Yeah, Daenerys, the actress. She's very charismatic, and I don't hold it against her that that she's worshipped by feminists. I don't think that's her fault. So I don't hold it against her. All right, so where's the... Okay, that's this layer. All right, let's go back to the pencil. Oh, that's the wrong tool. I'll just do it anyways. Fuck it. This is pen now. We're working in pen now. Fuck it. Ooh. I'm sorry, I got to Control Z. All right, let's do it this way. We're gonna add a layer on top, and I'm gonna draw it on top. This is magic power in her hands, okay? The dreaded Control Z, yeah. But there was a girl, an angry feminist, that was unhappy with the changes or what happened in Game of Thrones. She saw it as a complete left turn on Daenerys' personality. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It might be. I know that Hollywood, they like to just do things to shock people. But here's what she said. So this woman named Candace, this has been doing the rounds. Candace Aston says, "I'm so fucking mad right now. Game of Thrones has been a waste of my life." It's a fucking TV show, okay? Gotta be white guys that ultimately save the day after years of women killing it. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Women ultimately can't be trusted. Let me find out the writers are Trump supporters or Bernie supporters, okay? What? What does that have to do with the show? And then she says, "I'm literally crying right now because a decade of my life," the show's only been on for 8 years, but maybe she's talking about the books. "A decade of my life has been wasted on a show ultimately guided by the white male viewpoint." And then I said, I shared this, right? And actually a friend, an acquaintance of mine responded to it. That's why I'm pointing this out. I shared it on my Facebook page, and I said, to go along with it, I said, I don't want to take as much pleasure in this stuff as I am, but I can't help it. Most of what I predicted has come to pass. What I mean is, I predicted who was going to live to the end of the show when I saw the first season of the show. And people were telling me, one of the things that's great about the show is you don't know who's gonna die. It could be anybody. They set the tone when they kill Ned Stark at the end of the first season, and I'm like, I know who's gonna make it to the end of the show. I said Daenerys is gonna make it to the end of the show. I said the dwarf is gonna make it to the end of the show because everyone's talking about him, and I was like, I'll tell you why. I know, because everyone likes Tyrion because he's the snarkiest. Because every scene in Game of Thrones that I saw, every scene is a verbal battle where the person who gets the most gotchas gets to move on, even if they don't actually like say anything that's really like philosophically poignant. If they say the best gotcha, then they get to live. And Tyrion's got the most gotchas. Like, he's just got a fucking bag full of gotchas, and every scene he's in, he basically like is written by the plot to dominate that scene with his personality, right? And I think it's because George R.R. Martin likes that character the most. That's why that character is going to live the longest. And it's also because, again, you know, it subverts your expectations because this in the book, he's actually a lot uglier than in the show. But, you know, the short, deformed, ugly guy is the smartest and the most clever, and he's going to live to the end. Like, it's so obvious, though. You're just reversing what you think is normal. And so you work from that straw man that people approach this from, and then you just like reverse engineer it, and then I know. So I called it. I said, Queen of Dragons gonna live to the end, and she's probably gonna be the one that gets the throne. It's either gonna be her or the dwarf. Now I also said Jon Snow will live to the end too, but I think that George R.R. Martin's gonna throw us a curveball with that one in his books. But I don't know. I don't follow it. I just based it on my impressions of every character they established throughout. I said those three will make it to the end, and sure, and like most of the women too, like the other Starks or whatever, the females, but I didn't really care about them that much. And sure enough, here's where we're at, and I'm not surprised because R.R. Martin himself is like, yeah, I'm a feminist, so okay, that's gonna inform how you write your stories. It is. And like the showrunners at HBO, you don't think the HBO has a leftist bias? Come on. Let's be real. So this doesn't surprise me at all. It's obvious to me, okay? And then, so I said that. I said most of what I predicted has come to pass. I don't want to take that much pleasure in this stuff, but I can't help it, right? Because in a way, it's like it's like they didn't know that this could happen, and they're freaking out. Aside from the fact that, you know, the way that, I don't know how the show handled it, but I imagine that Daenerys' behavior in her own mind is justified, like to be genocidal and shit and psychotic. Like, why not? I mean, feminists are genocidal. Of course they are. She could still be their goddess. And I'm sure that there's an article out there somewhere where there's feminists saying, yeah, this is right. You know? Okay. Like, so. But yeah, this guy, I know, his name is also Brian, but that's all I'm going to say. He says, why take pleasure in other people's pain? That seems to be the driving motivation for a great deal of people these days. Sad. And I said, I don't take pleasure in her pain. I think it's silly that she's getting upset over a fucking TV show. And I said, I don't. I think this person is sick because she is blaming an entire race and gender for her inability to process what's happened on a TV show about dragons and titties. Because that's really, and you barely get any dragons. It's like a fantasy show that's really just a soap opera that has like the veneer of a fantasy setting because, yeah, there are dragons in it. But those dragons could easily be tanks or, you know, Indian braves or riflemen or something else. I mean, it's not really that much of a fantasy show from what I know. Not a lot of stuff. It's not Lord of the Rings. Not a lot of stuff happens in that vein, right? And then he says, lots of people get deeply invested in the pop culture that they follow. I don't know what led this person to care so much about a TV show, but I'm sure that it resonated with her for a reason. Same as other fandoms drawing other people. Everyone has a reason, and she's not the only person to feel betrayed by her loyalty to a franchise, nor to blame that betrayal on a whole group of other people. For example, some people blame liberals and SJWs for ruining the things they care deeply about. Comic book movies, Star Wars, whatever. Yeah, because they did. They did. But no one, I don't know of any anti-SJWs that read comics or watch Star Wars that said, I'm literally crying right now because a decade of my life has been wasted on a show ultimately guided by a leftist viewpoint. Nobody said that I know of. They're not getting so emotionally like crushed that they're like, we're gonna burn it all down. The reason why it's a problem is because the people who wrote Game of Thrones and the people who are writing comics and the people who are writing movies and the people that are involved in Star Wars and the people that are making video games don't know how to make a good one. They don't know what they're doing and they're ruining it. Now, that's their prerogative. Star Wars, in my mind, is dead. It's dead and it should stay dead. I have no interest. It's dead because they killed it. And everyone should remember who killed it. That's it. I don't care how much money they say it made. It's never going to be the same. It's dead. So stop it. So he says, there are people who take this stuff just as seriously as the sick person here and cast just as much blame. When you think of it in those terms, it's hard to distinguish between this person and those other folks. I like how he puts them in two camps. In fact, in the tweets above, all you have to do is swap out a few genders and put fucking SJWs instead of white male viewpoint, and they read just like complaints about Captain Marvel swooping in to save the day. Yeah, except that nobody's crying about it, and it's literally true. They've actually ruined a character that people like with their SJW writing. So you haven't really made a point. And look, all I'm doing is showing that non-leftist people are not the only ones that got hurt by bad writing. So, okay, we've just broadened the conversation, I guess. There are dragons, magical fairy folks, giants, and whites. That's it in terms of magic in Game of Thrones. Yeah, I know about the undead army, and I know about the giants. I didn't know about the fairy people, though. But she killed another woman, Brian. Another woman! Oh, is that why they're so upset? It's a custom drama by the sound of it, or The Bold and the Beautiful, but with sex and violence. It's a political... I guess it's political. A political intrigue show. But, like, so what? It's basically like the Borgias or something. It's like, it's like those shows that are basically like trying to show you the underbelly of, here's the underbelly of the Vatican. Oh, the sex that was going on. You know, and that's all it is. It's like shit that women care about. Sorry, but it is. Anyway. Okay. Low fantasy, high politics. Yeah, costume drama. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Wasn't sure what you were writing there. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Good people get steamrolled and beheaded first, and then in comes the pissed off D&D dungeon master. Rocks fall, everyone at the wedding dies. Glad I didn't watch. Originally, Game of Thrones was supposed to show the pettiness of politics and power grabbing, as opposed to the real threat of life versus death. Yeah, well, I guess they lost the plot, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems to me that it's a cynical... It's just like a whole cynical thing. And I guess for me, that doesn't have... I don't have an interest in that, but if other people do, that's great. I guess it's probably less on the nose, shall we say, than something like fucking less on the nose than say Atlas Shrugged. I watched the Atlas Shrugged movie. It was like, look, man, I'm down with this as a philosophy, honestly. But it's a little bit on the nose, Ayn Rand. A little bit on the nose. Writing should be a little bit subtle. But every character takes a moment to give speeches. And it's like, come on now. Don't... If you want to convince people, it's probably better if you don't, present it in such a, I would say, a lazy way. Okay. So, I just gave her a glyph so we know that she's a witch. Also, apparently Dany didn't have time to conquer King's Landing, but she did the whole work. The whole work in like an hour. The whole work? They ruined the show and they killed the Night King so easily. But Arya had to have her moment. It was time. It was her moment. You know what's really interesting too is that a lot of these like GOT fans, they were basically like saying that they love the fact that it like, it subverted expectations, blah blah blah, right? But then when it came to like what happened in that episode, they were like, I kind of feel like that should have been Jon Snow's moment. It's like, yeah, but you were the one saying that the thing that makes this show great is that you don't know what's going to happen. It's all about subverting expectations. So I'm sorry, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, I get that too. I think, without even a whole lot of knowledge on it, it seems to me that he's been on the wall this whole fucking time. This should be his moment. And they took it away from him. Well, I mean, I guess you can't say they took it away from you if you never had it. But, oh well, here we are, right? Consider your expectations subverted. 'Cause And maybe people who say that were wrong. Maybe that wasn't the point. I don't know. There we go. Subverted expectations should still be coherent within the world's context. Of course, you make a world, there should be rules. So, I'm pretty sure the Atlas Shrugged movies are universally reviled. Well, yeah, probably. I would imagine that there are other reasons for that. I think there are people who don't like the philosophy in general. I know that Ayn Rand gets a lot of shit from people. I had to, like, you know, I still deal with that, where if I bring up Ayn Rand, people try to dismiss her out of hand. So it could be that they don't like her because they don't like that movie because they don't like her. But that's because they don't like her philosophy, right? All right, just this, and what's layer? What's this layer? Oh, that's just that. So is this, where's the, oh, here it goes. Feminists consider her a traitor to women. Oh, so it is because Danny killed a woman. I didn't know that. Well, I guess that makes sense. Let the salt flow then. All right. I think that's good. And it's 12:44. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let's just let's back out here. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think I'm gonna select some areas and blacken them. I'm gonna get a coffee. I'll be right back, and then I'll just add some blacks, and I think this will be done. All right, I'm back. No, feminists consider Ayn Rand a traitor to women. Oh, I think that Daenerys killed a woman too, though. I think that is the part of the problem. Of course they do. Of course. All right, so let's select some areas. I'm gonna add some blacks and try to. Okay. And we'll do the same here. Okay, and yes, add some blacks. And let's see. We'll just drop that in there and in there. And don't worry about the arm. I'm gonna erase it out. I think sometimes, honestly, like that gotcha shit that I was talking about before, it's like people are using that kind of argumentation these days. You ever notice that when people want to discuss something important, they don't really want to discuss it? They just want to get you on something, like just make you look bad or make you look like a bigot or a hypocrite or whatever. And that's like the end. Like they're not actually arguing in good faith. They just want to do that. And I face that all the time. Like just now, you know, this guy was trying to do this guy who I know, you know, and he should know that I'm not a bad guy because he's known me for years, is trying to like get me on this gotcha shit because I do complain about SJWs ruining movies. And it's like, but it's like you don't really want to talk about this. You just want to say some shit and then like lay it down. It's like watching a lot of TV, I think, because that's all it is too. Like when characters have an interaction, you know, on like a television show or a film, it's always brief because, you know, there's a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time. So they just do these gotcha moments and that's all they have, right? So it makes them look, I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but it seems to be affecting the way we even have conversations. Like people are talking the way people talk in television. And it doesn't make sense because no one talks like that in real life. Oh, damn it. I'm in the wrong tool. Here we go. Yes, they're not trying to argue, but trying to find something they can use to call you a bigot. Try for next month, Brian. Swarm. Brian says he doesn't want to get too involved with requests because of comic deadlines. Yeah. You know what I'll do? What I'll do is it's halfway in the month now. If I get everything done by the end of the month, I'll do it on the 30th. Otherwise, I'll do it on the first week of June for sure. I should be able to finish everything by then. It's just that, yeah, I had like a bit of a struggle, so All right, so I'm gonna like merge everything together now. We just back out. I mean, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Just gonna make this that black area just pops too much, so I'm gonna make it gray like that. I think that's good. So I'm gonna merge everything together and just call it a day because I think this is done. I don't want to do anything else to it. So I'm just gonna do that. All right. So now it's all one picture. Okay. And now maybe I'll do this. Oh, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? Nah. I'm gonna leave it. Just gonna save it as is. So let's do this. Let's save as. We're gonna call this Gretel lines printy, so I know who it's for. And we're gonna save it as a PNG. Yes. I think Black Knight Fool says a lot of oh shit, no, don't please, thank you. Black Knight Fool says leftist, a lot of leftist men are afraid of men because they have a guilty conscience. I think that it's that, and I think that there's a little bit of self-hate that's been, I think, ingrained into them from feminists and from other leftists, basically. I mean, leftists are feminists, so. And I also believe that there is a bit of, like, when you're like, there's a bit of fanboy stuff going on too. So when you're like a fan of something, there are two things that happen if you're like a super fanboy about something, okay? One, like when something happens within the fandom or within like the thing that you're a fan of, like there's a change or something like that. One way that people react, which I think makes the most sense, is that they become critical of it. Or they, you know, they voice their opinions. They don't like the direction it goes in. If you're criticizing Star Trek Discovery, or STD as we like to call it, that's like a fan response from the Trekkies that say, well, this doesn't fit because either, you know, it doesn't, like, it's not even about necessarily the politics, but they just don't like the tone. They don't like the how, you know, the writing of it. They say it like, oh, this is anti-scientific, like science fiction. At least Star Trek has tried to stay sort of, you know, based in some kind of reality, and you guys are just doing whatever with the rules. And there are people who say it's too political, or I don't like the way that you're representing, you know, these sort of, like, it's clear that you're coming from this bias, which means that you're obviously misrepresenting the opposition because the left is less knowledgeable of the real views of centrists and right-wingers than centrists and right-wingers are of the left. That's proven. There are studies that show that leftists, because they stay in a bubble, because they don't care about what other, you know, about finding out why other people believe what they believe or that other people disagree with them, they tend to not understand their views. So they just have their version of why they had those views, which are often straw men, you know, examples, because, you know, it's in their bubble. So, oh yeah, they're just bigots. They just hate black people. They just hate women. They just hate gays, whatever. And so it expresses itself in their writing because, again, they're being unfair. So this is like one way people react within fandom. The other way they react is they double down on their love of the fandom. So they defend it no matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how SJW it gets, no matter how much it sinks, No matter how much the quality falls, they defend it. They try to rationalize why it's still good. They try to rationalize why maybe it needed to change, why they needed to go along with it. It's not even about politics for them, or they go along with the sort of leftist narrative around it, which is, oh well, these people like with Star Wars, for example, these people just have a problem with women as main characters, as Jedis. That's all. They just have a problem with that. And so they'll go along with it. They'll say, well, I don't get why, like the Captain Marvel thing. I don't get why people were so mad because there was a female superhero. Like, nobody's mad about that. But they double down. Like, I have a friend who I've known since the 90s, and he is the biggest Star Wars nerd I've ever known, and probably one of the biggest Star Wars nerds on Earth. Okay? I mean, he had everything Star Wars he was into. Everything. The only thing he didn't like, and you could say he's not a real fan if you want to based on this, the one thing he did not like was the Star Wars Expanded Universe, and I think the reason why was because he said that George Lucas never officially said that any of that was canon. And so even though he's read some of those books, so it's not like he avoided them, but he's not a fan of that. But everything else, even the Star Wars Christmas special, like, he was fine with. He was into the prequels. We saw the special editions together when those were being released in theaters. We saw the prequels together when those were released in theaters. He was a fanboy to the end. He loved everything. And when these new movies came out, he was thrilled when he learned that there were going to be more Star Wars movies. Okay? And I was like, well, all right. Well, it doesn't, like I said, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, well, why? And I was like, well, look, it could be good. Like, this was when Force Awakens was announced. I said, it could be good, maybe. But my issue is, I'm getting the sense that there's a lot of cashing in on nostalgia. I wonder if they're going to be able to develop Rey into a good character. I was conflicted by that because I was pretty red-pilled at that point. And basically my opinion was, there's no way, or it's very unlikely, that Hollywood will be able to tell a story of the hero's journey or something akin to it with a female character, because feminism will not let them. Because feminism doesn't allow for women to be whole people. They only want them to be tools of their ideology. And that means they have to have certain characteristics, and they need to have certain kinds of experiences, and it prevents them from being full characters. And I was worried that that's the direction they were going to go in, and I was right again. And so I was like, no, I saw Force Awakens. I was like, this was shit, and Rey is bullshit. I don't give a shit about her, right? So I was, oh, here we go. Exploding Prinny is here. Finally, your drawing is finished. And then, like, he was like, no, it was good. I don't see what you mean by Rey's or Mary Sue. I thought she was fine. Like, and I knew he's not political, guys. He's not. But I knew that what he was doing was, he was saying, I can't accept that the thing that I haven't been in love with for this long is going to shit. And it's because of ideologues. You can say that, yes, The Last Jedi is far worse. I get it. It's what happens when you add ideology to a director that thinks they're smarter than everybody else, and they want to do what? Subvert your expectations. This goes back to the Game of Thrones thing. So we watched I didn't go to the theater to see The Last Jedi, because fuck that. I was done after Force Awakens. I was done. But my friends went and saw it, and my one friend who's the biggest Star Wars nerd on Earth, he was like, you know what? He actually put his initial impressions, and he said that he was surprised at how much he liked this film. His initial impressions were that he liked it because he convinced himself, because people do this all the time. They do. Look at Fallout 76. How many people are still trying to hold on to the fact that they like that game, even though it is absolute dog shit? Because they're Fallout fans and they can't accept that it's gone to shit, and that means that they won't hold any of the Bethesda or whoever responsible, because they're going to try to find the good in it, because they're so desperate for just a taste of, I just want a little bit of anything, whatever you can give me. Oh, it's so delicious. Like, no, you have to be able to say, fuck you, you fucked up. I'm the biggest Street Fighter fan ever. I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, okay? And I bought every Street Fighter game. When Street Fighter 5 came out, I bought it, and then I regretted it because it was my least favorite Street Fighter game. I was pissed at this. And I'm a fan. See, being a fan does not mean you have to like what they give you. In fact, in my opinion, being a real fan means that you know all of what you have a set of expectations from a product, okay? Or a piece of entertainment, whatever, a game, whatever it is. And they should meet or exceed your expectations because you know the history. You've been with the product for a long time. That means that you expect a certain level of quality. So as a fan of Marvel Comics, I'm not buying any of them. Fuck them. Because they fucked up. So I won't buy any of the shit that they don't, but what I do buy are the reprints of the old Kirby comics, right? And the old Ditko comics, and the old Steranko comics. I'll buy those because I'm telling them, these are the stories I want to read. Not this Unstoppable Wasp bullshit that you guys are putting out right now. You know, I want Carol Danvers, not Carl Manvers. I want the old Ms. Marvel. I don't want this Captain Marvel you're shoving down my throat. I'm not paying for that. That's what a fan does. They let them know, this is the level of quality I expect, right? This is the reason why I didn't go watch any of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. I like Transformers. Those movies are awful. Why would you go just because you like Transformers? Why? You're telling them to make more bullshit when you do that. So I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with Street Fighter until they fix it. I'm done with, I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with Street Fighter. I'm done with Marvel Comics. You know, that's what you have to do. You have to make a statement. And so I do believe, getting back to what I was going to, because I got to get out of here after this. I do believe that there are other factors, and the guy I was talking about that responded to me, yeah, he's also like an SJW leftist, but he's also a huge super fanboy of Star Wars and Marvel Comics, and the MCU. So that means that they can do no wrong. So no matter what they do, he's going to try to make his brain wrap around the piece of shit that was given to him, and he's gonna pick through it for all of the edible pieces of corn and act like he was just given a fucking filet mignon. And he's gonna celebrate that. And I'm gonna say, don't eat that shit. There's shit in there. You know? And why should you? And yeah, maybe the cause of the shit is feminism. Is that okay? I think it is. Because it's true. Because that is what informs these bad decisions. Now, I don't know what happened with HBO. But I wouldn't, like with the Game of Thrones, because I haven't watched it. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of that in there as well. So, all right. So I'm going to look at your comments real quick, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Exploding Prinny, while you're in the chat, let me know when, where, how you want me to get this to you. Because I'm done. Okay. So let me scroll up a bit here. Okay. What about stream extension request payments? Well, I can't. I got a show today, but maybe on some days, yeah, I'll take them. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know, because I don't have any shows tomorrow. So do it through Streamlabs and make the request ahead of time. You could do that too. It'll be in my history. So if you want to put something in now, you can. I just won't start on it until I'm done with what I have. I'll just say put it in the queue, basically. Let's see. Ken Spiracy says they reduce their politics to religious belief. That's why they don't understand views that are different. We are to them the devil. No, it's not hyperbole, but it is also because they don't really know what we believe, what other people believe. They don't know. They just know that it stands in opposition to what they believe, and they believe that what they believe are all the good things. Therefore, anyone who's against that must believe in the bad things. That's it. It's like childlike thinking. All right. Black Knight Fool says they think they're better than the rest of the men. They've been bashing men for the last few years, and they have a guilty conscience that it's going to come back to haunt them. Yeah, agreed. Have that Star Wars girl on the Nerdcast. She's so adorable. I would like to. I've asked her, but you know, she's told me that she's busy. But I am trying to get her on. I have a plan to turn the Nerdcast into a different kind of guest show, so that I could get people from Comicsgate and Gamergate that are still around, and people like Star Wars Girl who are just like fans of movies and pop culture stuff that are just nerdy. And this is happening, and they don't know why, or they're just starting to like take an interest in why. And I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. So, yeah, I'm going to give her another poke. But today, I'm going to be talking to Netscape, who's writing a book about Gamergate. Next Monday, I'm going to have on a guest named Professor Geek, who is a college professor that is pushing back on all this leftist bullshit in comics and film. And I think that he's criminally undersubbed. I like his stuff a lot, because he talks a lot about writing and like the principles of writing. He's like Literature Devil, who's also a great guest that I had on. I'll probably have him back on sometime. Ken says they hear right-wing or centrist or non-feminist and their brain says the devil. Yeah. My issue, the Xeranx, my issue is how their rhetoric reveals how incapable they think the people they claim to speak for are. Yeah. Yeah, they don't know. They don't, like look, Jonathan Haidt did a study on it. It's absolutely true. The left doesn't know what the right believes because they haven't cared to look into it, because they don't want to expose themselves to new ideas. They're literally like Puritans about that. The right actually does know what the left believes, because they have lost to the left, and now they're trying to understand their enemies, or their opponents more accurately. So they actually have a better understanding of leftist beliefs than the left does of right-wing beliefs. Okay, I already read that. Let's see. Star Wars Christmas special is better than Captain Marvel. Absolutely. Great indoors. Exploding Pretty says, is this about the Game of Thrones guys getting ready to bury Star Wars? But Star Wars is already dead. They're just gonna like dig it up, take a shit in its mouth, you know, piss on its corpse, and then put it back under, because it's already dead. It's dead, guys. Stop it. Star Wars is dead. Let's see. I think that books that you guys like, by the way, if there's like fantasy books or science fiction books that you think are great, pray to God they never ever get adapted to film. Pray to God, because they never do it right these days. They used to, but not anymore. Like Ender's Game, I think they made Ender's Game into a movie, but originally, and I didn't read it, but I know that there are people who are huge fans. When they found out that the guy was quote unquote a homophobe, that was it. So what's the point? If you like the books, just read the books. And pray to God they never get their hands on those books, because they very rarely get it right. I mean, sometimes you just let the authors ruin it themselves. Look at J.K. Rowling. All right, so Zerank says, I'm a poor judge of entertainment. I just consume and like what I like. People wonder how I can like Ultraviolet. I went for action. I got a vampire story. Don't judge me too harshly. Whatever. I mean, it's a stupid movie. It really is, but who cares? Are you gonna blue Will Smith? Oh, God. Are you gonna watch Blue Will Smith? Oh, you're asking me that. No. Fuck that. I love Aladdin. That's why I'm not gonna go watch it. Live action Disney movies are fucking cancer. You know, Jafar was a Janissary, right? And aside from his name, there's no way of knowing that the Jafar character was actually like non-white. I don't know. He could have been white. But they certainly like they cast some like fag Indian guy or whatever to play him, but no, I'm not watching that. I like Aladdin too much to watch that. TGI, the first one was better. What's TGI stand for? Leftists believe rightists are lying. Rightists believe leftists are wrong. Well, no, leftists are wrong. And they approach this from the wrong perspective. And I don't mean the far left. I just mean the left. And the left are not liberals, so don't get that mixed up. Liberals are okay. I am a liberal myself. But leftists are a problem. Okay, so Zerang says maybe if Brian @s me on Twitter, that could work. You can @ me. at Doge in charge. Opponents, you mean oppressors? Yeah. Sort of Truth series was made into a shitty TV series, but the books were still good. They just released a new trailer with the entire Prince Ali song. It was mega weak, just like we thought. Oh my god. Is it Will Smith rapping over a Prince Ali like hip hop remix or something? I can't, that just sounds awful. That just sounds awful. Live action adaptations need to stop. Yeah, they do, really. Sometimes they're not even live action. The Lion King, that's not a live action movie, that's an animated movie. It's so dumb. You know what it is they're trying to retell the Disney movies, and I think they're actually making little changes to it so that it's more feminist friendly. Swear to God. I swear to God, they are doing that. Look at Beauty and the Beast with fucking Emma Watson, he for she, and like the 1600s black aristocrats. What the fuck? They're just trying to make them more woke. I'm telling you. Just watch the animated Lion King. It's already out and it's good. Jesus. Anywho. All right. So with that said, I'm a little over. So I'm going to wrap. Oh, the Great Indoors. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up and get out of here. So Prinny, send me a message on Twitter. Somebody tag me. I don't know your name on Twitter. And then I'll get this to you however I can. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Tomorrow, I'm going to resume work on the Englewood cover. And then on Friday, I'm going to keep working on the faces for Dave Cullen and Computing Forever. Hopefully, you guys will soon see them appearing on his channel. And I hope that he gives me a little nod there for doing so. If you could, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and hit the bell for notifications. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming on the Comicsgate Art stream. Have a good one, everybody. And stay safe.